I also think the expectations constantly rise. And with social media, there's very little awe and surprise and delight in this world when somebody does. So I think this move towards personalization and personal transformation. Joe Pine, who spoke at our event, the summit in Monaco earlier this year, I brought him because he's literally the person who coined the phrase with his co-author, the experience economy, back in like 1999, even a decade or two before most people even really started understanding what that meant. And his view is that things are moving from experience to transformation. I see that in the luxury industry, the language picking it up. It doesn't mean that there wasn't transformational experiences before where people went to places. There were, but the degree to which it's much more of a bigger focus of how do I self actualize? What's really going to light me up as a human being and being meaningful? Not every trip is like that. Sometimes it's just a business trip. People still want to see the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and should. It's one thing to be welcome to a hotel or a place, another thing to be known, but to actually be known and more, hyper personalized. So just one quick example of this. I was at, my wife and I met, each of us had lived in Japan 3 different times going back 35, 40 years. Both of us had lived in Osaka as an example. We finally had the opportunity recently to take our kids for the first time. So deeply meaningful individually, as a couple, and as a family for our kids. And I shared a little bit of this and thanked some of the hotels and folks while we were early in the trip. And we came back to our room. We were staying in Osaka, and because of a nice friendly industry rate, we were able to stay there and got this beautiful picture frame when we had a amenity, which was lovely when we came back, and it was opened up, and this is what it was. And I had shared some old school photos on that post. Right? There's a picture of
Wow.
my voice and I from back in the day. You know, some journeys stay with us forever, becoming stories that continue now together. O kaeri nasai, welcome back. I get choked up. My wife, in tears. This notion of, why when you do have a trip that's more meaningful, or even if I'm there for business, how are you supporting me to be my best self or to be able to get logistics and have that anticipatory service? I also think our industry, because of economics, which we can talk about, are getting into this bifurcation between, I've spoken about this, true hospitality and experience, and really what is lodging. There's nothing wrong with lodging, but the cost structure of the industry, primarily as a vehicle for real estate investment return, 25 years cumulative of asset light, we've kind of hit this point, especially in countries that are well developed with higher labor costs and higher development costs, where the brands are doing well because they're asset light and kind of getting royalties, but the hotel owners, the investors, people working in hotels really aren't. And we've kind of hit this point where my fear is that it constrains, not only leading to a poor guest experience, but also the ability to invest and grow in hotels and for people to enjoy and have a quality of life who work in them and serve. So I think that's a critical point that we need to solve for. And then you see a lot of great innovation in the boutique and lifestyle hotels. To me, that's like the startup ecosystem. If you think about startups broadly in venture, you have all these creative folks who are able to kind of do things that, if you're part of a bigger brand, are more difficult, not impossible, but to do at scale.